Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 124. I am Joyous Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so tonight we have an episode. This is the second time we've ever done this, where we have sent Joyous Dead the script for tonight without her having any idea what she's going to be reading, and she's going to read it on the fly. So this is going to be...
These are always so interesting.
You have to excuse me if I laugh at inappropriate times or if I react weirdly because I am hearing it at the same time that you are. So I'm probably going to be shocked by what I'm reading and I might have some uncomfortable laughter. We shall see.
Right. And this is the first time we've done this with Jameson with us as well, because the first time it was just the two of us. Yeah.
I missed that first time. I was very disappointed.
Well, what's going to be fun is you also don't know what's happening. So I'm the only one that has any clue. And this is just going to be hilarious for me. And I know it's not hilarious in terms of the context of what happens, although to be fair, and you guys don't know what's going to happen, I think this might have been the perfect episode to do this for. And this is our second case ever in this town of Skidmore, Missouri. We've done one other that took place here.
Weird, it happened twice.
That's what I said. I had to verify it. The first time we covered it was way back in episode 21. And it was the pregnant woman who was killed and her baby was taken out of her.
Oh, yeah, that
God.
was crazy.
Yeah, that's the same town as the case you're about to read. Yeah. So some weird shit going on in Skidmore, Missouri.
That's to say the least.
Take it away, Miss Joyous.
All right. Today we got the case of Ken Rex McElroy. And so we'll start setting the stage for this case with something that is unbelievable. I'm about to find out. So a clerk at a store witnesses a kid stealing a piece of candy and reports it to the owner. The owner confronts the child. Unfortunately, this child's father is not your average citizen. The little shit's father, not my words, is the town bully. And he's not known for reacting as a normal person would when presented with, say, his child being accused of stealing. A normal person might ask his child some questions, perhaps apologize to the store owner, or pay for the candy.
Yeah, something like that, right?
Yeah, like normal behavior. A slightly crazy parent might defend their kid, going into denial mode and get angry for the clerk that they even accused their child of doing such a thing.
Right. I've had so many of those in my life. Like, I've literally written up people who work for me to have their mother come in and yell at me for daring to write up their child. Yeah.
At work?
At work. I kid you not. Like, here is a professional environment. There was a kid, he was probably 18 or 19, and I literally gave him like a corrective action because he was moving too slow. He wasn't moving with any like urgency. And his mother came in to yell at me and tell me how good of an employee her son was.
That's just absurd.
Mamma mia.
Yeah. So that's the second type of person that I was referring to when I wrote that little bit for you.
Yup. Well, neither of those options are the course of action that Ken Rex McElroy took.
No, Ken Rex McElroy is not that type of person.
Not that type of person. He, instead, confronts the owner of the store with a shotgun.
Oh, that escalated quickly.
Yes, it did. This is the case of Ken Rex McElroy, also generally known as the town bully. Is that what this case is generally known as, or is that just what they call him?
This case is also generally known as the town bully, yes.
That's kind of crazy.
Yes, it is. There's you'll get to it at the end, but there's also a book and a movie about this as well. So
wow. All right, well, Get ready for a good story.
Here we go.
Ken McElroy was born on June 1st, 1934, the 15th of 16 children.
Holy crap.
So you
Whoa,
can.
they were really putting him out back then.
I was gonna say, so you can imagine the lack of attention and maybe even discipline that this family got.
Yeah.
Did they know he was still alive?
Yeah, honestly, probably barely.
Yeah, like his parents were more like officers at a correctional facility, you know?
For real, that's like more than a baseball team. We're rocking with like lots.
Right? 8:30 at night, they're gonna do a head count for bed.
For real. So he's the 15th of 16 to a poor migrant farming couple named Tony and Mabel. Bless your heart, Mabel. That's a lot of kids. The family had moved between Kansas and the Ozarks before settling outside of Skidmore, Missouri. Ken McElroy dropped out of school at age 15 in the 8th grade. That's a little old for 8th grade.
I was thinking the same thing.
Was a little old. And quickly established a local reputation as a cattle rustler, small-time thief, and womanizer. Is this like a cow tipper? What's a cattle rustler?
So cattle rustler is it's basically, it goes back to like Billy the Kid. These are people who show up and steal people's cattle and then sell it or try to, pass it off as their own.
Capiche. Got you. Says here, one cannot understate McElroy's hold over this town. This little rascal.
It's funny that you said little, but you're about to get to his description.
Oh, mama. For the 400 or so residents of Skidmore, Missouri, the word bully does not even begin to cover his atrocities. He was well known and feared. Many residents years later would recall that when they were children, they were hurried inside if he ever came into town. My, this guy is really, we're spooked of him.
Right, and growing up in a city, it's hard for me to imagine a place so small that one person just sort of terrorized the whole town.
Right.
It sounds like the old Wild West.
In a way, but it's like the 1970s and 80s.
Oh, I know, but
no,
just
he was born in 1930 and he's 15 here, so.
No, I agreed.
Sorry,
I'm referring to the very end. Like as we get to the end of the story.
Yes.
Sorry.
He had a problem with just about everyone.
I love that you said that with a southern accent.
Just about everyone.
She's pulled it out a couple lines here. It's quite entertaining.
When I start to get into character, it's what I do. I'm cold reading the script and I'm just trying to give it a little flavor, you know? You put me in the table read, I'm ready. So when McElroy came into town, everybody went home and called other people and said, go home and lock your doors. Jesus, what a menace.
Yeah, right? He's terrible.
Yeah. He is a big man. He's tall and weighs 270 pounds with big sideburns and a menacing attitude. That's a big boy.
So he's a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's no wonder that people are like, get the fuck out of his way.
Yeah, truly, you do not want to get in his way.
The fact that he even needed the shotgun from earlier is kind of surprising.
Yeah, he walked into my store. I'm scared. I don't think he needs a gun.
No, I agree.
For more than 2 decades, he was suspected of being involved in the theft of grain, gasoline, alcohol, antiques, and livestock, but he always avoided conviction when charges were brought against him.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I would be kind of scared to try and arrest him, you know?
Well, they're probably not alive anymore or were threatened as such.
Yeah. He was able to elude responsibility of these accusations a total of 21 times.
Holy crap.
Ah, I was right, it says here. The reasons for this being that witnesses refused to testify because he intimidated them.
Yep.
There you go. He frequently followed his targets, often parking outside their homes and watching them, blaring his horn in the middle of the night.
Oh, God.
God, that's obnoxious. He would put rattlesnakes in their mailboxes.
Oh, what?
This guy's going around catching snakes, and this guy's a menace. Imagine if he put all this energy into something productive.
That's one way to look at it, right? He probably should have joined the military. Juror,
and you have kids, and you know McElroy's coming for you. Like, are you telling the truth in court? Absolutely not. You're not convicting. He was always represented by the same defense attorney, Richard Gene McFadden.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some reports that suggest McFadden may have been a lawyer for mafia types, which, tracks.
Wait, I was going to say that tracks 100% because mafia types also intimidate juries if they know who they are.
Exactly. This guy knows his tool set. He knows what he's rocking with. Whether or not that was actually true, he was very good at his job, and more often than not, his clients were acquitted, including McElroy. And as a result, the town considered him untouchable in a legal sense.
Right, which, like, you gotta be honest, if someone got acquitted 21 times, I think that's
right. We're like, yeah, I don't trust we already don't trust the justice system and shit like this.
And I don't even think like John Gotti was acquitted 21 times, and he was called
Who's
like
that?
Oh, so John Gotti was a mafia boss in New York, and he was
yeah, the name sounds familiar.
He'd been brought to trial numerous times, and everything got dropped, and the news started calling him the Teflon Don because nothing stuck.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a song that references Teflon Don. Like it says like I'm a Teflon Don in the courtroom.
Yeah,
I think that's a
what they're
Megan Thee Stallion
referencing.
song.
Oh, that's even
Wow.
funnier. Yeah.
We love learning. We love learning. Thank you for that fact.
You're welcome. There's also a really bad John Travolta movie where he plays John Gotti, so I would skip that one.
Oh man, I love a terrible movie though.
So maybe you should. The reason it's so bad, well, I mean, it's a slow movie, but apparently John Gotti's son had something to do with I don't know if he was a producer or something. So it takes a
So it's not even like accurate.
It is, but it isn't. It just takes a very they try to portray him a bit more wholesomely, I guess. I don't know. I watched it. I wasn't a big fan.
All right, that is fair. Anyway, back to Mr. McElroy. He fathered more than 10 children with different women. Deadbeat dad, add that to the list.
Yeah. Oh, just wait.
He met Trina McLeod when she was just 12 years old, and he was 35.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Some reports say that he was dating Trina's mother at that time, but he was also married to his second wife then, so hard to... Second wife?
Mm-hmm.
Bitches are marrying him? I guess they're probably also being intimidated into that.
Or they really like bad boys and made some horrible judgment calls.
This is true. Both are things that exist.
Agreed. And both things could be true simultaneously because there are some things like did you say his second wife's name was Alice?
Did not say that yet, but I was about to.
Yeah, sorry.
Look who knows the script.
But you're going to see some things in a bit that suggest that she certainly wasn't staying as of her own free will. But she may have
I would
gone
guess that.
But she may have gone into it because she found him exciting because he was a bad boy.
Yeah, makes sense. Believe it or not, fidelity was not a strong suit of McElroy's.
No, really?
I know you're shocked. We're all shocked.
I mean, he's committing every other crime. Why would he stay true to somebody?
Exactly. Why would we have integrity in any area? He had many affairs over the course of his marriage to both Alice and his first wife Sharon. When either woman did raise concerns regarding the cheating, he simply beat them and tortured them as a reminder that they were not entitled to breach that topic. Yikes.
Yeah, isn't he such a great guy?
Yeah, that's a healthy way to deal with it.
Deeply unsurprising, but very disappointing nonetheless. When a wife of McElroy came into town with a black eye or a busted lip or broken bones, the townspeople did not need to guess what had happened to her.
No, and it sucks that no one could stand up to the guy, even protect these women.
Right, there's nothing short of vigilante justice. And there's probably hardly enough vigilantes here who would even take the risk.
For a town of 400, even if you went so far as to say 1% of those people might have the balls to do it, it's still only 4 people.
Yes. Unfortunately, I hate this sentence, McElroy soon fell in lust with 12-year-old Trina McLeod. Gross. Hate that.
Yeah. Well, just wait.
He would Yeah, he would follow the bus route that took Trina to school in his pickup truck. And when he caught up to the bus, he would start honking his horn and driving up to the window where the bus driver could get a good look at him. When the driver, so I assume the driver had to pull the bus over. When the driver pulled the bus over, McElroy would demand that he open the door and let Trina out so she could get in his pickup truck with him. Fuck. There's like nothing anyone can do. Trina didn't have much of a choice, and the bus driver never attempted to protect her, even if she did refuse to go, which sucks. He could have at least tried to drive away.
Well, the next sentence, and it is my thought. I wrote it as if it was your thought, but the next sentence will kind of clear that up, I think.
Right. So he would pull the bus over and offer her up, likely justifying his action by claiming it was for the safety of the other students.
Right, because what are you going to do if this guy starts ramming your, sideswiping your bus or ramming into it with his vehicle? You have
right. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, there's probably
fucking awful.
Right, there's probably at least a dozen kids in that bus. It's only a town of 400.
This guy needs to be taken out.
Well, and it's only going to keep escalating, obviously.
Fuck. Obviously. Trina and McElroy soon began a sexual relationship, but we'll call it what it is. McElroy raped Trina repeatedly.
Oh, that's
awful.
So nauseating.
Awful.
Fucked up.
Oh my God. Trina's parents initially opposed the relationship, but McElroy threatened them and terrorized them into agreement by burning down their house and shooting their family dog.
What the fuck?
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
No, I can't.
At that point, so this, all right. At this point, if this were me and that was my daughter, once he burned my house down, I have nothing left to lose. I would pack my family up, including my daughter, and get the fuck out.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Or fucking buy a gun. Shoot this guy in the fucking head. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see, I would be stupid about it, and I'd go down swinging, and I'd at least try to take a shot at him.
I'd get my fucking shotgun. I'd show up at his fucking house. Ugh. Trina became pregnant when she was 14, dropped out of school in the 9th grade, and went to live with McElroy with his second wife, Alice.
That's just so fucking awful. Awful.
I hate that. I hate that. 16 days after she gave birth, she and Alice fled to Trina's parents' house. He tracked them both down, beat them both severely, and she is, oh my God, 16 days postpartum. And he brought them back to his home.
I can't even imagine the trauma.
Holy shit. When Trina's parents were away, McElroy went into their home where he once again burned their house down and shot their new dog.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
I can't even imagine. The deeper I dug into this case, the more I was like, this shit's not real.
Yeah, right. Like, who gets away with that and does it repetitively like that?
Holy fuck.
The people who do it repeatedly are the people who keep getting away with it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Trina had to be hospitalized because of her injuries. The attending physician was so appalled at the beating that the underage girl had taken and the history of abuse that she shared that family services was called in and took her and her child into custody, which, yes, this is what should have happened.
Right,
finally. The second this started happening.
Right, finally. Exactly.
Finally. McElroy was arrested and charged with arson, assault, and statutory rape. And the charges were all as a result of what Trina had told the police. She was then taken to a foster home in Maryville with her baby. I fucking hate this. McElroy was able to pay a $2,500 bail and was out within a day and went looking for Trina.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's not okay.
Just think about
bail is a bad system. Say it with me.
Right, and just think about this fucking lawyer that he's got. Like, this guy's good at what he does. He's like the extreme Better Call Saul.
Yup. Fucked. There's like enabling theft and there's enabling whatever, but then enabling like rape and where this is obviously going murder. Fucked.
Oh, just wait. I feel bad saying that, and because I know what's coming, but we know it's not going to get better.
Yeah. He found her foster home and would sit outside for hours at a time just staring at it.
Reap.
He told the foster family that since he knew where their foster family's biological daughter went to school and what bus route she took, that he would trade girl for girl to get Trina and his child back.
So fucked up.
So fucked up and like
That's
awful for that
scary.
foster family. Holy shit.
Yeah, what do you do?
God.
Yeah, what do you do in that situation?
Fucking call the cops.
One would hope.
One would hope. Well, additional charges were then filed against McElroy. And of course, he once again calls his attorney, Richard McFadden, who McFadden created delay after delay in order to prevent the case from going to trial, which worked as eventually Trina grew tired of the foster house and the rules she was expected to live under, and she ran away.
Yep.
Oof.
That's rough.
Oh, this poor kid. And she ended up running away right back into the arms of McElroy.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people who are abused sometimes they don't feel like they have anywhere else to go.
Right. And it's like nothing's going to make sense to her. And like,
yeah,
she's been so abused, this poor kid.
She's been abused since she was 12.
Yeah. This is I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
With the charges still looming over him, he acted fast. He quickly divorced his wife Alice, and then he drove Trina to Kansas and married her to avoid the conviction of statutory rape. What the fuck?
How is that allowed?
I don't think it's allowed anymore, but
definitely not anymore. And also, like, fuck.
Because I heard there was a case years ago where a guy was married. He went to another state where he could marry someone who was underage in his state, but of age in that state. When he returned to his home state, they arrested him. So it's not allowed now, but I think back in the 80s, that loophole existed.
The fact that
we should highlight now that there are still a lot of fucking loopholes allowing children under the age of 18 to marry an adult. That like still exists.
Yes.
Yeah, the fact that there are different age limits is absurd. It should be a set age across the board, no matter what state you're in, no matter there shouldn't be any protections or any kind of shit like that.
Right. And you know who loves that? Fucking libertarians. That's who fights for that.
I totally did not expect that to be the thing you said. So sure, I'll take your word for that because I don't know, but I agree. They're like less government. Am I right with libertarians?
Yeah, they're like, well, it's like there's lots of people who are like everything about marriage should be decided by the states, including that we should be able to marry a consenting 15-year-old. Disgusting. Children can't consent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's not okay.
Fuck that.
And also, like, this is probably before marital rape was considered a real thing either.
Yeah, probably, because we're still not even in the 80s. I think we're in the 70s at this point. So yeah, probably
we are
not.
In the 70s. Yep. Which just makes me so fucking mad that it was like, yeah, it's not rape if it's your husband. Disgusting.
Yeah, exactly. And there are probably I was going to say there's probably certain states now where a husband can still abuse his wife that way and not be held accountable simply because they're married.
Right. And then there are some people who are trying to politically advocate for the end of no-fault divorce.
Yes. Yep.
Which, God, if I could hit all those people in the fucking face, it'd be great. I would love that.
You'd break your hand. That's a lot.
This is triggering so many other things that I'm really fucking mad about. This is really bringing it all out.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
But
sometimes it's good to be mad about things that are fucked up.
Right, and this is why I chose this case for you to do this, because I knew you were going to be passionate about it as you were reading it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, back to the case. The other charges against him would end up being dropped because the case was impossible to prove without either Alice or Trina testifying, and by that time both women were too afraid to do so.
So sad.
It's really sad. And yeah, I mean, if he had married Trina at this point, then she might even be prevented from testifying under the, like, whatever it is, like, marital.
Yeah, she can't be forced to testify now. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. On July 27th, 1976, Skidmore farmer Romaine Henry found McElroy trespassing on his property.
And I have to say, I did research because I thought Romaine was a. As I did my research, I was like, someone misspelled his first name. No, Romaine is his first name.
Is he a
Did
lettuce
he?
farmer?
He's a
Did I
farmer.
screw you? I was just about to say you
Beat you
beat
to
me
it.
to it.
With a shotgun in his hands, McElroy turned toward Henry in his truck as he approached. He raised the barrel of gun and pointed it at the cab of the approaching truck. Henry stopped the truck, and McElroy approached the passenger side. The window was rolled down, and the barrel of the 12 gauge was right on Henry. He yelled to Henry when he got to the window, accused him of being dirty SOB, and said that Henry had been at his place in a white Pontiac. When Henry responded that he didn't even have a car like that, McElroy called him a lying SOB and pulled the trigger.
That's a close range
Which,
shot. That's
yeah, what the fuck? Where is this even coming from? The shot violently ripped Romaine Henry's stomach open, the right side of his body peeling away and laying across his lap, but luckily he survived.
Holy crap.
Fuck
That's
that.
amazing.
Can you imagine? You're like, I'm just imagining this guy sitting in his car holding his guts together.
Literally.
Basically, I obviously don't know. They don't go into too much detail anywhere, but he probably drove him fucking self to the hospital.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Because it's 1970 something, so he can't call anybody from the truck.
Yeah. After that, McElroy was charged with assault with the intent to kill. However, he denied that he was ever on Henry's land. As the case awaited a court date, Henry reported that McElroy had parked outside his home at least 100 times. What the fuck?
I know. I mean, obviously the intimidation tactics have worked in the past, so he's not going to change that.
Right. McElroy would show up and blare his horn in the middle of the night to terrorize Henry. Once the trial did start, 2 raccoon hunters testified that they were with McElroy the day of the shooting, far from Henry's property. Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, you got to wonder if this guy actually has friends that are covering for him, or if he intimidated those guys into going into court and saying that.
Hard to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the intimidation route.
Yeah. Henry was forced to admit in court under questioning by McElroy's lawyer that he had concealed his own petty criminal conviction from more than 30 years prior, which opened the door to challenge Henry's honesty and credibility. Fuck, why does that even matter?
It shouldn't, but there we are. But again, that McFadden guy is good at what he does.
Yeah, clearly. And as a result, McElroy was acquitted again.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
Oh. And here we are full circle. In 1980, one of McElroy's children got into an argument with a clerk, Evelyn Sumi, in a local grocery store owned by 70-year-old Ernest Bo Bowenkamp and his wife Lois.
What a name.
Yeah, for
Right.
real. Bo Bowenkamp. Allegedly, the young McElroy child tried to steal some candy, as we know. After that, McElroy began stalking the Bowenkamp family and eventually threatened Bo in the back of his store with a shotgun in hand.
Ooh.
Bo, however, was not going to be intimidated and began arguing with McElroy. This is bold.
Which is
He's
good.
got some
but-
cojones on him.
Yeah, I was going to say
For real.
brave. Kind of stupid, but brave.
But brave. In the ensuing confrontation, McElroy shot Bo in the neck, this guy in his
Oh.
70s. Bo, however, survived, and McElroy was arrested and charged with attempted murder. Once again.
Again, surviving a shotgun blast to the neck.
Right, which this guy must be fucking awful with a shotgun, because them shits, when I'm playing Call of Duty, that kills people on the first shot.
Well, so there are 2 different types of shotguns, though. You have the ones that fire the pellets that scatter and tear things apart, and then you have one that is actually firing like a buckshot. It's just one big ball. So I'm guessing
Gotcha.
that's what he's firing, or at least that's what he fired at Bo Bowenkamp.
That makes sense. All right, glad we have someone with gun knowledge, because I'm like, when I play video games, that's all I know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure your game is fairly accurate, but I'm guessing it's still scatter shot when you're firing it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. So with this attempted murder, the entire town hoped that this would finally be the case to rid them of their menace. McElroy was convicted at the trial of assault, but not attempted murder
Right?
somehow.
Right?
And he was allowed out on bail pending his appeal. Oh my
Again.
fucking God. And bail.
Wow.
This guy, I want to know how the judge is not saying no, fuck that.
Literally. The town, which had breathed a collective sigh of relief over his conviction, reeled under the news that he was free and able to terrorize them again.
Again, I've said this a few times. I can't imagine what that must feel like.
The terror. Immediately after being released on bail, McElroy went to a local bar called the D&G Tavern with a rifle that had a bayonet attached to it and made
Whoa.
graphic threats about what he planned to do to Bo Bowenkamp. Can we get a bayonet's like that pointy thing, right?
Bayonets are a knife
Yeah.
that's attached to the front of the rifle. Yeah.
So you have a knife gun.
Yeah, basically, the idea is
Yes.
if you're in the military and you put the bayonet on, it's because you're about to go into close combat. You're about to get into close combat. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to run out of bullets, but you're so close, you're not going to have time to reload. So now your weapon it's like a spear so that you can
Okay,
continue with
gotcha.
close combat. Yes, that's all that does. But it's terrifying to see it out in the civilian world.
Yeah, that's very scary. Obviously, doing this is a violation of his bond terms as he's out on bail. And patrons called the prosecutor, who subsequently revoked his bail, which thank fucking God. A hearing was scheduled, but McElroy's attorney kept getting it delayed, as he always does.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, McElroy had learned the names of 3 witnesses scheduled to testify at his upcoming bond revocation hearing. They were all prepared to say that McElroy had walked into that local bar carrying a loaded weapon. The night before the hearing, McElroy's attorney landed a 2-week continuance, meaning he'd be free for 2 more weeks at least. What the fuck?
Again, I don't have any idea how this lawyer was able to manipulate a judge that much.
It's insane. This lawyer should be taken out too. Man, this podcast, I don't know what it's doing to me. It makes me more and more pro vigilante justice.
I was going to say, when we started this, I think you were anti-death penalty, and you have come like to the point of wishing for vigilante justice. It's a riot.
It's just crazy what knowledge does.
It jades you just a tiny bit.
Right. And in reality, I'm like, yes, everyone deserves due process. And like, would I ever advocate this in real life? I don't know. But like, especially back here where they don't actually have the controls in place to like, realistically, like, there should be a bigger police force that's doing something about these things that can at least like, I don't know, take him into custody overnight when he does shit like this. But it doesn't exist clearly.
Well, it's a town of 400 people, so they're going to have to call in
Right.
like maybe the Missouri State Police. But I mean, that's what I don't know if a town would want to invite that in, because then it shows that they don't have control.
Right. Which they fucking don't.
Well, they
So,
don't,
I know.
obviously.
Yeah. At this point, the town fucking loses it.
Yeah, right?
They had about 40 or 50 people who were going to protect the 3 witnesses and escort them into court in a convoy. They felt that because McElroy still had all of his guns, not only were the 3 witnesses in danger, but everyone was in danger.
Which, yes, true.
It's very true. This led to several patrons deciding to see what they could legally do to prevent McElroy from harming anyone else, as many residents were beginning to feel that he might somehow slip through the cracks again.
And again,
Ooh.
valid fear.
Extremely valid and probably correct fear.
At this point, you're going to have to go with the illegal thought process instead of
Which
the
it
legal.
sounds like they're doing, yeah, which I'm interested. On the morning of July 10th, 1981, the townspeople met at the Legion Hall in the center of town with Nottoway County Sheriff Dan Estes to discuss how to protect themselves.
Shoot him in the head.
Yeah, literally shoot. Shoot to kill. During the meeting, McElroy and Trina arrived at the D&G Tavern for some drinks. This girl, probably not of legal age. What are we doing here?
I think
Or maybe she is.
I was going to say by this point, I think she is.
Every time he came into this bar, typically everyone else walked out, which makes sense. I'm surprised that he even comes to this bar after the threats he's made there.
But again, he doesn't give a fuck.
Right? He doesn't give a shit about anything. Del Clement, who was the owner of the bar, never liked McElroy and liked him even less for driving off his customers. Very logical. As McElroy and Trina sat drinking at the bar, word got back to the people at the Legion Hall that he was there. Sheriff Estes instructed the assembled group to not get into a direct confrontation with McElroy, and he suggested that they instead seriously consider forming a neighborhood watch program.
Which, what is that gonna do?
Girl, yeah, like what? To do what?
What kind of pansy ass shit is that?
And also, like, what are you gonna do with that? Watch him and then do nothing? Like,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm picturing like a group of people surrounding him at an intersection, and he's just beating them one by one.
Literally. Sheriff Estes then drove out of town in his police cruiser. Wow, you're really fucking helpful.
Yeah, he's certainly not cop of the year.
Nope. The citizens at the meeting then decided to go to the tavern en masse. Shock. Which was just across the road.
Yeah, literally. Like, the photos of that are hilarious. They're literally like 150 yards away.
Yup.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. About 30 to 40 people walked over to the tavern and stood outside, while another 20 or so walked inside and started telling McElroy that his days are numbered and we got you now. Trina looked at her husband and said, "Let's get out of here."
I'm surprised she was even remotely protective of him.
Yeah, I mean, she's been now abused by him since she was 12, so
Yeah, that's true too.
I mean, that does a hell of a thing to a person.
Yeah, what's it called when you fall in love with your captor?
It's like Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Munchausen by proxy is when you want to take care of someone, but you're making them sick.
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
like Gypsy Rose.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
After McElroy finished his drinks, he purchased a 6-pack of beer, and the couple walked outside to their truck, which was surrounded by residents. McElroy didn't say a word to them, and he and Trina simply got into the truck. And gunfire erupted. Oh my God. While sitting in his truck, McElroy was shot at several times, but actually hit only twice. Trina, who was in the truck with him, screamed and scrambled out of the vehicle with the help of someone in the crowd that surrounded the truck.
Amazingly, she was unharmed.
Yeah, and that they were like actually going to help her out. But I guess like they have sympathy for everyone who's a victim of this man.
Right. I was going to say when you said the thing about the bullets, I thought Jameson was going to start cheering. You guys were like silent at the vigilante justice part.
Well, I wanted to know what happened because I was like, they're all going to miss is my immediate thought.
Right. I thought pessimistically. I was like, there's no way that any of this went their way.
No, this is the murder of the case.
This rocks, dude. What? Oh, this next line is so beautiful. McElroy's blood sprayed all over the windshield. Let's rock.
Take that, motherfucker.
The bullet's momentum caused his foot to stomp the gas pedal, pushing the engine into a high-pitched whine.
Oh.
There were bullet casings from 2 different weapons found.
Right, which means it wasn't just one person.
Mm-hmm. In all, there were 46 potential witnesses to the shooting, including Trina. Not a single person called for an ambulance. Later, every single witness, except for Trina, was either unable to name an assailant or claimed not to have seen who fired the fatal shots.
Oh, I love the group mentality. That's incredible.
Yes, which included the unnamed man who helped Trina exit the truck.
Yeah, no one recalled. Just how amazing is that?
Right. Trina did accuse someone in the shooting, and that was Del Clement, who was the owner of the tavern. She said that she saw Del come out of the back of the tavern. She claimed that she looked behind her and saw Del with his rifle and told McElroy, "Ken, they're gonna shoot ya." The DA declined to press charges. Let's fucking go. And an extensive federal investigation did not lead to any charges either.
Yep, without a witness, I mean, more than just Trina, they could not find shit.
Right. And like since there were casings from more than one gun, like it's unclear like who actually.
I mean, realistically, they could have made everyone turn over their guns and compare them to bullets, but if that had happened, they would have just gotten rid of the guns, and the town's going to protect themselves, obviously.
Exactly.
Right.
They're going to protect everybody. They're going to get rid of those guns as a team.
Right.
The FBI couldn't get anyone to turn. Not a single person. They get mobsters to turn on each other, but they couldn't get a single one of these farmers to turn on each other.
I love that.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Missouri-based journalist Steve Boer described the attitude of some townspeople as, quote, he needed killing.
Very true. You guys have been saying that for like a half an hour now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
This is true. No one has ever been brought to trial in McElroy's death, and although there is no statute of limitations on murder, most people suspect that no one ever will be. McElroy was buried at Memorial Park Cemetery in St. Joseph, Missouri. On July 9th, 1984, Trina McElroy filed a $5 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore, County of Nottoway, Sheriff Danny Estes, Steve Peters, who is the mayor of Skidmore, and the man she accused, Del Clement. Insane.
I mean, what else is she going to do, right?
I hope she gets laughed out of this court. The case was later settled out of court by all parties for $17,600, with no one admitting guilt for the stated reason of avoiding costly legal fees should the suit proceed.
Oh, that's incredible.
I mean,
Whew.
to some little farmer who's like now a single mom, 17 grand isn't minor.
Right, and in the 80s?
Right. That's what I mean. Like, so she got something out of it, and she was a victim of his with his kid. So,
right.
And I doubt he had life insurance.
Right. I'm like, she might have gotten more if she went a different route of like, sue Child Protective Services because they didn't protect you.
That's true. But it is also Missouri in the 80s, so who knows?
Right. Who knows? Trina ended up remarrying, crazy, and moved to Lebanon, Missouri, where she died of cancer on her 55th birthday on January 24th, 2012. It's just like, what an upsetting short life.
Yeah, but I mean, at least she enjoyed some of it without him. You know what I mean?
And I'm glad she did. Richard McFadden, who represented Mr. McElroy in numerous cases, said he believed there was enough evidence for a prosecution.
Of course he does.
Of course he fucking does. He believes one of the gunmen was a suspect named by Trina, and that the town got away with murder.
Which they did.
They did, and as they should. A 1988 book about McElroy's murder, In Broad Daylight, by Harry Ann McLean, was adapted into the made-for-TV movie of the same name in 1991.
Yep, that's what I mentioned earlier. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's got some things like dead right, and then they just took a lot of like creative license with other things.
Ah, gotcha. Harry McLean believed it was an open secret that Del Clement fired one of the rounds that hit McElroy. However, Del died in 2009 without confessing.
Right. And to be honest, I think Trina's, witness testimony was probably right, but no one was going to corroborate that. Exactly.
And it's like, it's hard to like, especially because there's like lots of gunfire. I don't know. I wouldn't believe the one. It's just not a very convincing witness testimony.
Right.
Well, it's a very biased witness testimony.
Yes.
True. But she was also like, those guns were also aimed in her direction.
Exactly.
So if you're going to remember a moment, you might remember those moments. But again, without something to like I said, corroborate what she was saying, they're not going to do anything about it.
Right. A good portion of the people that actually were witnesses have since died, and not a single deathbed confession has ever been made. No one ever said a thing.
Which is awesome.
Love it.
That's the way it should be.
Yep.
Based on his interviews and research, McLean said that he's pretty sure he knows who fired the other bullet that hit McElroy. However, he claims that he is not sure if that person is presently dead or alive, and he will not say that person's name.
Which, again, good for him.
Yeah,
because
awesome.
that person could still be held accountable.
Exactly, and I don't think they should.
No, I think the town did the right thing. I think we all agreed to that many like way back at the beginning. So, and at this point, if this person is still alive, they're what, 80, 70, like they're old.
Right, exactly.
And if they had gone on to kill again, we would know about it.
Right,
So,
and this is not the kind of thing that you're like, oh yeah, this is a murderer. This is someone who's going to kill again and be a menace to society. No,
right.
this is someone who is trying to prevent crime. This is a Dexter situation.
Right, where the whole town participated.
Exactly, and it was like, yeah, I mean, if the law had done their job, this wouldn't have happened. At the end of the day, this man would have been in life in jail forever.
Correct. He should have been. I mean, once he fired and shot the guy in the stomach, on that guy's property, he should have
For
been put
real.
away. Crazy.
For real. I mean, I don't know what the laws are in Missouri, but I mean, in a lot of places, someone attacks you on your property, you can kill them, and that's legal.
Right, and I think it's Texas. You can shoot them just for being on your property.
Yeah, literally terrifying, but
right. But this is what I'm saying. So this guy should have been put away a long time ago. So we are 100% right in saying that the town did what they needed to do.
Right, because otherwise, this guy was going to keep killing.
Well, he had never actually killed anyone, but he was on that path.
He kept trying.
Yeah, he was certainly on that path. Yeah. And then the town finally did it, which is why this is when I got to the end of this case, I was like, oh, I'm giving this to Joyous.
Yeah, this kind of rocked. Honestly, the best case scenario is that the fucking asshole and not the like innocent person and not innocent people who die. It's the guy who terrorized a town for like years, decades.
Right. And he deserved it. And,
he did deserve it. I feel no qualms about saying that.
The only thing about this case that I think is hard is obviously what he did to Trina. And I wish, there's a part of me that wishes she had participated directly in his death, but I don't want to wish that burden on her either.
Right. I wish her, and she's already passed, but like nothing but peace after that. And maybe she would have had to like feel conflicted about it if she had participated, but she deserves peace.
Well, if she had been, I'm pretty sure that would have brought up so much repressed trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true too. But yeah, that was a fun one. I do enjoy these. We don't want to do them too often because we don't want to make light of these situations, but this one was a good one in terms of that because no one died except the asshole.
Right. No one died except for the guy who only by sheer force of luck was not a murderer. Correct. It was only like luck that he didn't manage to kill anyone.
Exactly. Yeah, he was a scumbag, and I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad I never had to deal with him. Or or anyone like him for that matter.
Yeah, for real.
So thank you everyone for joining us once again. I am Janice Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.